Thank you, Chair and Vice Chair. Secretary, nice to see you again, and really enjoyed our conversation the other day. I know you're a big fan of the Job Corps. Hawaii Job Corps is one of the best in the nation, regularly at capacity and really delivering on the mission. I want to talk to you about the pay. DOL exempts Job Corps contracts from the Service Contract Act, which means the Job Corps employees don't get prevailing wages and benefits. My understanding is that's an administrative authority that you have. You could waive that, but you don't have the money. And so the question is pretty simple. Would the department consider rescinding the exemption if Congress provides the resources to do so?
Yes.
Good enough for me. And if so, can you provide the committee with the amount of funding that would be required to do so?
I will get that number for you, but I appreciate you asking me that question. I think, and I don't want to take too much of your time, but I think Job Corps is one of the most underutilized programs that we have in the federal government. That we could have 57,000 people a year that go through Job Corps prepared for a job. And when a young person leaves Job Corps, and I look forward to visiting your district and seeing the Job Corps there, they should be guaranteed a job when they graduate Job Corps.
Thank you very much. And speaking of job placement, this is a sort of broader question. I want you to imagine, say, 10 years from now, 5 or 10 years from now, what's the Department of Labor's online presence, online training resources look like? Coming from state government, more than a decade ago, the implementation of the of federal workforce training programs is very siloed. We've got a workforce development board that meets as a committee of the whole with maybe more than 100 people, and they ratify their workforce development plan, mostly based on the fact that if they ratify it, they get their revenue. And so there's not a lot of big picture thinking. And I'm wondering whether there is a way to turn the Department of Labor's website and other online presence into a real resource for workers so they can not just find jobs, because there are plenty of private sector platforms for that, but figure out what the college and career readiness pathways are, what kind of technical training you need. All of it is a labyrinth if you're new to the workforce or if you're transitioning from one job to the other. And so this is a broader question. What does that website look like if you have all the resources in the world in 10 years so that it's really servicing people in a new economy?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think number one, it's in 10 years from now, we get to expand our American Job Centers that do that work on the ground in cities and towns all across America, number one. Number two, if there's a worker in America that's looking to make a change in their career or put themselves in a better situation, they should be able to click a few buttons, get to a resource guide on the Department of Labor that directs them to their state or their city that has the ability, there's a partnership with the federal government in creating a pathway into a good paying job. So for example, if you live in a small town in Hawaii and you're looking for a job, well, the Department of Labor might not know who the employers are there, but we work collectively with the local government to make sure that that resource is there. It does two things. Number one, it would allow the person, the individual, to be able to find the resources, but as important, it will allow employers to also find the people. So you'd have to work with the employers as well to make sure that they're part of the system, because the employers, if they feel that it's a good training opportunity and the resources being spent well in good workforce development, then we're helping employers grow. We saw this year in this country 4.7 million people go into entrepreneurship on their own, 20% increase in the past. Some of those folks are going to become companies. Some of those folks are going to become big companies. Some of those folks are going to be looking for employees. The best way to do that is having the resources. So I think it's about both sides, tying the worker to the job and the job to the worker.
Thank you. Final question. I have a skepticism about bureaus, and so I pushed on my staff about the Women's Bureau. I said, what has the Women's Bureau actually done for women? And they've done an extraordinary amount. Yeah. For women, helping with the Equal Pay Act, the FMLA, and they can also be credited for helping to ensure women were included in laws providing minimum wage and overtime. Do I have your commitment to continue to support the Women's Bureau so that it can build on the successes from the last century?
Yeah, when I first became Secretary of Labor, the first thing I did was I asked for an increase in budget for the Women's Bureau. When I was mayor of Boston, we had a Women's Commission in Boston, and I changed it from a commission to an office in the Bureau. We need to give the Women's Bureau more power in the Department of Labor, as well as the Veterans Office as well.
Final, just a comment. I want to thank you for your decision to include data on American Indians, Alaska Natives in the last monthly report, and look forward to working with you in this space.
Thank you, and thank you for bringing that up, because I think I misspoke in the very beginning in my comment about the numbers. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Hyde-Smith.